And I went there in October of 2003. This is my photo of Kabul in October of 2003. Not a pretty city. You can tell that it's experienced a lot of civil war. You know, very few houses have electricity, water. It's tough. I went to go find the museum director. He's another one of our heroes in this story, Omara Khan Masudi. He's still the director of the museum, and I went there. It was exciting for me. I'd never been to Afghanistan before. I never had a chance before 2003. I'd always been involved from the outside. So I went and I said to Mr. Masudi, we've heard that there were some museum boxes in the presidential bank vault. Could they be the Bactrian gold? Can I write a little report to finish our article? And Masudi said, it was very interesting. He said, well, Fred, you know, it's true. There are some museum boxes in the presidential bank vault, but you know, all the inventory paperwork is burned up, and the boxes are locked, and the keys are lost. So, you know, we really don't know what's inside these. And he's basically, go away, kid, right? And so I figured that was the end. He was sort of trying to get rid of this American archaeologist, and I was walking out with my big doggy eyes, and Masudi says, wait, no, that's not what I meant. He said, I tell you what, you're a museum curator. I'll make a deal with you. If you promise to do a scientific inventory of these crates, we'll open them up for you. That was not what I expected. So I went back to Washington, D.C. with that offer, and I went to National Geographic, and I knew that they funded research, and usually it's mountain climbers or underwater research or looking at lions and things like that. And I said, would you be willing to fund the inventory of some boxes that are in the basement of a bank vault? And they said yes. And that was the beginning of a thing that just, of a project that just changed my life and changed what I think you'll see when you go through the exhibition. Well, it was a big challenge. We had no documents. I had to come up with a way to deal with inventorying in a bank vault, right? So I started working with a group out of the US called National Endowment for Humanities, and we cooked up this idea of a mobile inventory lab where we had battery-operated laptops, and we scanned in any picture of any artifact that might have existed in the Kabul Museum before. We got Hewlett-Packard to provide battery-operated printers. We got forms in English and Dari. We put it all together, and we were ready to go to Kabul. We were excited about this, and we were waiting and waiting and waiting, and finally we got the call, come to Kabul. We're ready to open up the boxes. So I got our vice president of research from National Geographic. He's a wonderful man named Terry Garcia. Said, all right, let's go to Kabul. Let's open up these boxes. So, you know, it was a big deal. We got together. We got there, and here we are. We're waiting. Yeah, well, it turned out that Mr. Masudi was not lying when he said the keys to the boxes were lost. We got there, and we were able to go to the presidential bank vault, but it turned out that we had to get a presidential decree for somebody else to open up these crates, and we had to figure out a way how to do it. So we waited for about a week, and finally we got the decree from President Karzai. In the meantime, we got together this wonderful group of people, about 18 Afghans to sit around a table. It was almost entirely Afghan group. It was myself as one outsider, and one 75-year-old wonderful woman who had been a volunteer in the museum in the 1970s. And Mr. Masudi had asked for her, Carla Grisman, to join us. I couldn't believe it. You know, she was retired. She hadn't been in Afghanistan for a decade and a half. And I said, Carla, would you be willing to come to Kabul and do this inventory? She said, absolutely. She's been a partner in our research since then until now. She's a wonderful partner. Well, we got this team together. Then we had to figure out a way to open up the boxes. They're not just boxes. They were safes, solid steel safes. So we tried all sorts of different ways, no keys. Finally, we got a circular saw. Now, you see the sparks of the circular saw? Well, there's the Minister of Culture standing there. The white-haired man is Victor Sarganidi. We brought him in for this momentous moment. And I'm sort of in the back behind Victor, and I'm the only person who's not smiling. I'm looking at the circular saw, and I'm saying, oh my goodness. I said, look at the heat there. We have a couple options here, right? Either we're going to find a puddle of melted gold at the bottom of this, or they're going to open up the door and there's going to be nothing, and a little note from the Taliban saying, haha, we got here first. Oh boy, what a moment. Finally, that crate was open. That safe was open, and there it was. There was the Bactrian gold. Little pieces of gold, baubles and bangles, just like we had heard about for all these years since Victor's first report on this. Amazing to see these things opening up. Hundreds, thousands of pieces of gold. So beautiful, some of the pieces so beautiful, they looked like they could have come from Pompeii and not from Afghanistan. They looked absolutely like new, these beautiful pieces of gold. And I looked around in the room, all these people from Afghanistan, and I didn't see elation in their eyes. I didn't know quite what's up. And in fact, the problem was, people didn't know, was this the real Bactrian gold? They hadn't seen this before, right? It had been locked up secretly for all of these years. So how did we know that this was the real Bactrian gold? Well, it was a problem. We waited and we waited. Finally, Minister Raheen took out this one piece, a flower medallion. It's burial number 6. It's upstairs in the exhibition. Please take a look at this. You see it in Minister Raheen's hands right there. And all of a sudden, Victor's eyes light up. And he takes it from Minister Raheen, and he looks at it very carefully. And all of a sudden, his expression changes, and he holds it up, and he says, do you know, on this particular piece, there's a little nylon repair that I made with my own hands. I can attest that this is the actual real Bactrian gold, the national treasures of Afghanistan, saved all these years here in Afghanistan. And it was at that moment that the expression on the faces of all those Afghans changed, when all of a sudden they realized they themselves had saved their own national treasures. It was a glorious moment. It was a moment that all of Afghanistan had been waiting for, to know that something in their war-ravaged country had been saved, and saved so heroically. It's amazing. So I want to show you some of these objects. Obviously, you can see them upstairs, but there are some things that you should know about these. These are exceptional objects. Before we started to do that, though, Victor pulled me aside because, you know, we now had to inventory them. And Victor said, whoa, you know, 21,000 pieces of gold. He pulled me aside. He said, Fred, you know what? I've already inventoried these once before, right? 21,000 pieces of gold. I need to get back to my excavations. It's your turn now to do that. And before he left, he gave us these wonderful documents. And these really helped us with our exhibition. He gave us the original excavation documents that he had made with his own hands when he excavated. These are the original field documents showing exactly where and how these pieces were placed. And they were intact, allowing us to take his field drawings and recreate what an ancient Afghan nomad would have looked like 2,000 years ago. Truly amazing. First time, it's like a window onto Afghanistan's past. Well, so here, let's take a look at them, because it is amazing things. I mean, one of my favorite pieces is this piece from burial number 6. It's called the Bactrian Aphrodite. And it's appropriately nicknamed that because you see that Aphrodite form. You know, there's the Nike swish of the cloth. You see the wings, the beautiful, it's very classical looking. But look very carefully at the forehead of this figure. And she has a little Indian beauty mark on the top. All of a sudden you look at this gold and you say, oh my goodness, it's a mix of East and West. It's true Silk Road art. And that's what you see in these collections, true Afghan, true Silk Road art. As we go through the collections, you'll see many amazing things. They were wearing these solid gold anklets. And as we started inventorying this, we learned things by handling these objects that we could never learn from looking at photographs themselves. These things each weigh 2.5 pounds apiece. What we're looking at here is a very interesting economic aspect. This is actually the nomadic banking system. Think about the definition of a nomad, right? Nomads have no houses, thus they have no banks. They carry all their wealth with them. They were, each person, each individual, these 6 nomads, was wearing about 20 pounds of gold. That is truly an amazing thing.